burn my passport.
The passport burned fast and eventually turned into ashes. Now you can't go on vacation to Saint.
Why? You're a stranger, so you'll be staying too bad.
I guess they had planned this all along. My mother-in-law and husband are great. I was absolutely mortified at the way they were doing it. Well, I knew they were something stupid. I had thought about it just in case, had never imagined that they would sneaky. They looked at me with triumph and sickening giggle. Then I told them the truth. My name is Tyra, 29 years old. I studied linguistics at university. After graduation, I have expanded my knowledge of the world, languages and cultures, and shared them with the one community. The organization I belong to do a variety of activities. Once I'm sent abroad, I don't come few months. When I first started this job, I had never thought that marriage was out of my reach. But when I returned to my home county of 26, I met Corey, who later became my husband. I would only see him for a few months at a time, as my job required me to travel and forth from one place to another. Once I'm assigned, I won't see him as few months. In the meantime, we continue to exchange phone calls and emails. 2 years passed in this way, and when I was 28 years old, we got married. A year after we got married, I spent half of the year abroad, so my husband and I were still separated. I am grateful to him for choosing to me. I'm on my way home from the airport now. Today is the first time I can see my in 5 months. I should be tired, but my steps backlight. My walking speed gets faster. When I arrived, my husband wasn't home, so I started cleaning up the mess. I always tell him to keep the room tidy, as it is quite messy here. Normally, this would be the cause of one, but today I can forgive him. After all, I'm going to see him for time in 5 months. I'm in the middle of cooking when my front door open and my husband comes the living room. Rush over to him.
Corey, welcome home. Good to see you.
Hey there.
What? Is that all you can say? We have seen each other for 5 months.
Right. But we've been living like this for a long time, so I'm used to it.
What? Can you at least say you missed something?
Right. I'm tired anyway. Is ready?
Yeah, just finished cooking it.
Eating with my husband for the first months was the most delicious meal in the world. Normally, I would have been content with that day, but I felt a little different.
Hey, Corey, why do you keep looking phone?
What? What's wrong with that?
Nothing s wrong, but I'm finally home no.
We've been communicating by phone all this time, haven't we? There's nothing new to talk about now.
That may be true, but it's been a while since we've seen each other like this. Why?
I'm so angry at my husband's attitude. His tone of voice is getting stronger. It seems like that comment triggered my husband's anger. He stood up, put his phone on the table, and glared at me.
You know what? You look like you're tired from work. Got it?
Wow, wait a minute. I jumped on the plane right after, and you talked to me like that?
You just rushed home on your own.
What? You don't have to say it like missed you, you know.
I'm just saying I didn't ask you to home. If you're going to be like that, don't bother coming back at all. You're annoying, Tyra.
He slammed the desk and got up he left the living room without even touching his dinner. What's wrong with him? Why did he treat me so coldly? I haven't seen him in a long time. Was I the only one who was happy to? Tears streamed down my face and dripped onto the table. The reunion with my husband had to be even more sad than I had imagined. The next day, his attitude did not. When I said good morning to him, as saw each other, he gave me a cold stare.
You can just lays around at home or while you're over here.
No, that's not true. I have a lot to do, actually.
Editing the following for spelling and grammar mistakes. Summarizing.
Our activities and over materials for the next training. There's a lot to do more than you.
Either way, it's something you can hone. I'm really jealous you get to spend a year like that. I wish I had a cushy job like that.
Hey, you don't have to put it like.
Well, I'm just a company man, so I to work. You relax here, princess.
What the hell? Ignoring me, my husband left the house. We had a few fights before our marriage. My husband had never been so sarcastic with me, but this was the first time I was ski by his words and action. I wondered if my husband's words were meant to hurt me, or if there was anything I could do to help the situation. While I was reading work-related mails, I decided to clean the house. As I was vacuuming the rooms and changing the bed sheets, my phone rang with an incoming call. I checked the screen, and there was my mother-in-law's name. With a bad feeling, I answered that.
Hello, Tyra here.
Long time no see, Tyra. I heard you came home yesterday,
Yes.
and I heard you said something bad. He was quite angry.
I'm sorry, but it's nothing that will you know.
Well, listen, I've been thinking, since you're here, why don't we go with the whole family?
I couldn't help but let out a surprised exclamation. Without my response, my mother-in-law continued.
Actually, I was just talking with about going to St. Bart's Island, and then Corey started saying that he wanted to be with us.
That
So, Tyra, you're used to going abroad. I wonder if you could help us with reservations and stuff.
me?
Or maybe you can't hear what your mother-in-law is asking you to do.
I feel my mother-in-law's voice getting colder. She doesn't really want to travel, know that. She just thinks it would be more convenient for her since I am used to traveling. I knew my mother-in-law didn't like me. It's been a year since we got married. It's still the same. I often received messages from my mother-in-law while I was working abroad. How can you be a wife and be away for months at a time? If you don't take care of the house, I'd rather have my son marry another woman. It was a mistake to let him treat a woman like you. That's what my mother-in-law used to say. So I didn't have a good feeling where the call was going, but I never thought I would be taken advantage of for a family vacation. However, maybe it is better than being verbally abused as usual. I was angry at myself for not saying no, even though I knew I was being taken advantage of. A few hours later, my husband came work and was in a better mood than this morning. He threw his briefcase onto the sofa and, with a big smile on his face, out to me.
Mom called you, didn't she? We could go on a trip to St. Bart's.
Yeah, I heard, but
What? You're not thinking of turning, are you? Mom asked you to come with us.
I know, but why don't you just go with your mom like you originally planned?
As soon as I said that, my husband changed. He clicked his tongue and his attitude changed to one of intimidation.
You need to learn how to read between lines. The only time you'll be of any use when we go abroad.
You don't have to talk like that.
It's true, isn't it? Anyway, you booked your flight and accommodation, and as you probably know, everything is under my name.
Corey, you're going to pay for the wall.
What are you talking about? It's a small price to pay to show respect to our parents.
What is that?
If you've got time to laze around at make a reservation now.
No, this is wrong. I don't want to.
What are you mumbling about?
My husband took a beer out of the fridge, drank it down in one gulp. I have so many things on my mind, but know what kind of repercussions I will receive if I rebel. I felt ashamed, but I had no choice as my husband and mother-in-law insisted on it. I made all the arrangements for our accommodations for the trip to St. Louis, just as my husband had told me to do. On the day of the trip, I went straight from my parents-in-law's house to the airport. And just a few days before our trip to Bart's, I couldn't sleep, and when I woke up in the middle of the night, my husband, who was supposed to be next to me, wasn't. I went to the living room and heard his voice. Apparently, he was on the phone with.
Oh, it's okay. It's all okay, Mom. I'll be there first thing in the morning. Mom, can you do the passport thing at the post office? Seriously, I'm looking forward to meeting her. Make sure to introduce me when you see her again.
I felt a little stuck on some, he said. Passport, introducing her? He said, I'm pretty sure it was your mother-in-law on the other end of that call. There's definitely something going on between my husband and my mother-in-law. In the first place, it didn't feel him to ask me to go on a trip with. What would happen if I went to my in-laws' house? I don't know all the details, but a point, there was no other way to be. And then came the day of our trip to Bart's. I got into the car with the carry-on bag that my husband had asked me to prepare. I packed my husband's personal belongings into a bag, and he and I headed for his parents' house. Our trip to St. Bart's was about to. Whatever is in store for me, I have it. I walk into my in-laws' house with my husband, determined to make the most of this trip. We were greeted by none other than our mother-in-law.
Oh, hi, Tyra. You're here.
Hi, it's been a while.
Good to see you. We're almost ready. I'm going to grab a few things so you don't have to wait a little long.
Okay? Take your time.
Oh, and Tyra, could you bring the case from the other room? It's heavy, so please do it with care.
Okay, got it?
I did not miss that moment. My husband and mother-in-law exchanged contacts. My passport was in my pocket. Just at my husband's urging, I carried the carry-on case and went into the lounge again. And there was my mother-in-law with a wry smile on her face. She seemed to have the passport in.
Now, you can't go on a trip to St. Bart's without staying at this luxurious villa.
What do you mean?
I'm going to burn this passport, Rick.
What did you just say?
I was only using you for the trip arrangements in the first place.
What the hell are you doing?
You're a stranger, so you'll be staying too bad.
My mother-in-law went into the kitchen with a lighter. The passport started to burn from the bottom. Eventually, it ended up with Black the sink. When my mother-in-law saw that the cake was completely burnt, she said to me,
We did it.
and my husband jumped up and down.
Yeah, Mom, we made it. No, it's just 3 of us on this trip.
We'll be able to meet Corey's new girlfriend when we get back, right?
Yes, I've already arranged that. We don't need this useless woman anymore.
That's my son. You know when something is working?
He took his cell phone out of his CC me some pictures. Seems like they were the pictures of when the woman he'd been having an affair. He looked down at me with triumph in his eyes and said,
I'm not divorcing you for the sake reputation, but you're staying here our trip. When we come back, 11 move in with you can go away.
Taking my husband's line as a cue, my mother-in-law began to laugh vulgarly. The look on their faces was nothing. At that moment, I knew for sure that I didn't deserve to be a part of this family anymore. I grinned and said to them,
By the way, whose passport is that?
Huh? What are you talking about? It's yours. I took it out of your purse, so it must be your passport.
No worries. It happens to all of us sometimes. Here's your edited version. Ha ha! Sorry about that. Here's my passport.
What? Why? It can't be.
I took my passport out of my pocket and flushed it in front of her. My mother-in-law saw this and opened her mouth as if in a panic.
That's not possible.
No, this is my passport for real.
My mother-in-law must have snuck into my bag and assumed that the one past it was mine. How could she burn it without check, even though she was planning to do evil?
Wait, whose passport did I burn then?
I guess it was my husband's passport in there. So, this means that it was your son that you burned earlier, unfortunately.
At these words, my mother-in-law turned and started shaking. My husband started to blame her mercilessly.
Hey, Mom, what have you done? I told you to be careful.
I only found one passport in her purse. You'd think it would belong to her.
I don't give a shit. You didn't check why this happened.
You're saying it's my fault? If you had checked from the beginning, you wouldn't have made this mistake.
What the hell?
The next thing I knew, they were gone. I was beyond angry and disgusted of them.
Hey, Tyra, do something.
My husband started yelling at me by not to be outdone.
Seriously? Where do you come off telling me what to do? You cheated on me behind my back, did you? You and your mother are both disgusting beings.
Hey, you think you're talking to, Tyra?
I'm talking to you and you're stupid. You don't think I'm going to let you get away with this, do you? I'm telling you, you're going to pay exactly what you owe me. So be prepared.
Then my father-in-law came down from upstairs.
What's going on? What are you doing?
When I told him everything, he was about what had happened. The trip was canceled and my mother got a divorce. My husband was disowned by his father and never allowed to come home. I consulted a lawyer and divorced In addition, I demanded alimony from my ex-mother-in-law. They had to pay alimony in one lump. Corey also had to pay for the cancel our entire trip to St. Bart's. They are the type of people who don savings. Of course, there was no way they could pay off the alimony in one lump sum. In the end, they managed to repay all the money by borrowing money. Now my ex-husband lives with his new wife, it seems like. I heard that they're just barely making it. And my ex-husband was also doing the woman he had an affair with. I, on the other hand, have moved out my alimony money. Now I rent a condo and enjoy living. Cheating and bullying. I've been through hardships before, but now I am free from all of it and my life. I want to continue to go to various and learn about their cultures, and I want to share it with the Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.
My mother-in-law